Hi, I'm Michael Haynes, and welcome to Listen, Innovate, Grow TV. Today with me is Trena Blair. She's the CEO and founder of FD Global Connections. Trena, thanks for taking the time to speak with us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for the opportunity, Michael.
And that leads me to my next question, Trena. I'm a big believer that for startups and SMEs to succeed, they have to business innovate. So it's looking at ways to either have new introductions and or improvements across the business, not just necessarily product and service, but how they interact, their marketing, etc. Could you perhaps talk to us on some of the ways you've undertaken business innovation within Global Connection to remain relevant and pertinent to the needs of startups and scale-ups and the needs of US clients and customers?
Yeah, so I guess the best example I've got is the Immersion program.
Okay.
So FD Global works with mid-sized corporates and small enterprises, SMEs. And as we were working with that, and as I got deeper and deeper into the entrepreneur ecosystem here in Sydney, I was having a lot of startups come to me to say, we really want to get into New York, but we don't know how to go about doing that. And so what I created through listening to their feedback on what they were looking for was the New York City Immersion program.
Fantastic.
And that's where I take a group of early stage scale-ups into New York. And it's a very meaningful, driven program in terms of the connections that we make. So it's fully curated for every startup or scale-up that comes into the program. One-on-one meetings with investors, one-on-one meetings with potential clients. And that's what early stage scale-ups are looking for. In fact, that's what all size businesses are looking for, are those connections.
Absolutely.
And that was in response to looking at our mid-sized portfolio, our SME portfolio, but then modifying that to be able to cater for the early stage scale-ups to be able to afford a program to give them access to that network as well.
Excellent. Fantastic. And finally, Trena, are there some key watch-outs or key tips for startups and SMEs that are pursuing those larger corporate customers and clients? Any key tips that you can give before we finish on?
Yeah, so 3 key areas. So one is around cultural alignment.
Okay.
So be really clear when you're engaging a corporation that there is cultural alignment. And that actually applies to any business that you're looking to do a partnership with, regardless of your size. Okay. So if you're an innovator as a startup, your entrepreneurship, you've got really high focus on making sure that you test ideas, revise your proposition, and make sure that the corporate that you're partnering with also has that in their DNA. So cultural alignment is really important. That's number 1. Number 2, and this is based on my own international corporate experience. When you're dealing with a multinational company, understand that they often have matrix reporting.
Okay.
And what that means is the person that you're sitting across the table from may have direct responsibility for signing partnerships and agreements, but if they're in a global business, chances are they've also got indirect reporting lines as well, which means that they're going to have to go to those other leaders in their network to get alignment on the partnership. And I know from speaking with all size companies that is not well understood and particularly challenging.
Yes, and that's a key characteristic of operating in B2B, that there are multiple people in the buying process, and you need to understand who actually signs a contract, but who are those influencers that they will go to say whether or not they should sign. So,
that's exactly right. And that brings me to number 3, which is around influencers and decision makers, and understanding the difference in those relationships.
Absolutely.
What I see very often is companies will go into an organization, they're meeting with somebody, they'll have an amazing meeting, and I will ask them, are they the decision maker? And they're not. And the other point around the influencers and the decision makers is you need to cast your web very broadly, because as we know, there's lots of restructuring going on. So if you're just dealing with one person in an organisation and they're your primary person to deal with, and you're dependent on them to either influence or decide on a contract, and they're restructured out, you have no other web of influence that you've built, no other web of network that you've built in that company. So it's back to basics, back to zero to build that again. So make sure that when you're working with an organisation that you spread your network within that organisation and make sure you identify influencers and decision makers.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Trena, for taking the time to talk to us.
Thanks, Michael.
That's all for today on Listen, Innovate, Grow. Sign up on my YouTube channel so you can get further episodes coming straight to you. Until next time, I'm Michael Haynes.